Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to episode 8 of Galactic Science. This is After Beer Stand here, jumping around. I lost all of the audio to this episode, so I don't know what I'm talking about in the video. And my plan was to kind of dub over it and try to make it make some kind of sense, but the more I tried to script and kind of work things out that way, the less authentic it felt. So here I am. We're just going to watch this video without sound, do a little bit of dubbing, and hope it all makes sense. Now, I would have just scrapped this whole video and left it alone, except that this is Mars. We're going to Mars, and I can't imagine leaving you guys out of that experience. So we're just going to do what we're doing. Right here, what I'm talking about is the base. We're building the base, and I've built everything out of carpenter's blocks here. Because the carpenter's blocks assume the characteristics of whatever block you put inside of it. So this whole place, because cobblestone, compressed cobblestone, is blast proof, or relatively blast proof. It's only single compressed, so it's not the super tough stuff. But it is blast proof, so if we make the base with carpenter's blocks and put the compressed cobblestone in, that will protect our base from meteors and creepers and the like. And then if we use our little hammer, you can see that we can just take the skin right off and reapply a new skin. So if we decide we need to redecorate, we can do that. But I don't plan to do that because carpenter's blocks have another really useful feature, and that is that you can put skins on them. So those blocks there actually are cobblestone underneath, and then these panels on the top, the laboratory panels, laboratory blocks rather. So you can see back there we got no lab blocks, and then on the other side. So yeah, that's going to be the general construction technique that I'm going to use throughout the base. I think I'm just going to build the whole thing out of carpenter's blocks because wood is cheap. We got as much of that as we could possibly want. And cobblestone is cheap. We got as much of that as we could possibly want. But as far as other building blocks go, we're still fairly limited. So in order to kind of address that, I've got this system in place. You can see glowstone, redstone, and then the chest. So they prefer the barrels. Now those barrels each have hopper upgrades on them. So they're actually dropping their contents into the stone barrels underneath. Yeah, and so we're getting from this, we are getting end stone and netherrack. And that is kind of the long way around to getting access to some of the nether materials. Ideally, we would want to put sand in a wooden barrel on top of some mycelium. Yeah, and that gets us witch water. And then you put the sand in the witch water, and that gets us soul sand. But we don't have a reliable source of sand until we come back from Mars and make ourselves a sag mill. And then we can have all the sand we want, and we can put a system in place like that where we can get some unlimited soul sand and sift it. And from that we get things like, what do we get? I'm drawing a blank. We get some stuff. Anyway, nether quartz. Nether quartz is what we get. Nether quartz and gas tiers and something else that's not really as important. But the nether quartz is the key because the nether quartz is what all these laboratory blocks are built out of. So here we're going to make something real quick that's going to make life as a spacefaring person a lot easier. The idea is that we don't want to go to Mars. We don't want to get in our ship and fly back and forth to Mars. It's kind of a long, tedious process. So we're going to use these matter transmitters, matter receivers, and the dialing device is just an incidental little piece of hardware that goes along with that setup. So we're going to need some of these machine frames. And for that, we're going to need to go grab some things. Oh, no, we got it already. I'm getting way out of sync with the video here, so whatever. Yeah, the microphone on my headphones, my little baby likes to play with my headphones a lot. And here we're making way too many of these machine frames. My math was all wrong, but whatever. And yeah, so fortunately the headphones themselves still work, but the mic, there's some kind of a horribly loose wire, and you'll hear it. This episode was filmed in 3 clips, and the second and third clips have some audio issues. You get a little bit of voice and then some horrible static, and then just silence. So I'll probably end up dubbing over those as well. Now here we're short just a few ender pearls, so we're going to just we've been hanging on to this Einsteinium for for quite a while. Actually, we got most of it from a quest reward, and a little bit of it has come from the one stack of end stone that I rather decomposed, not sifted. So yeah, this is how you make ender pearls via Minechem, which I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit of a patience thing, but I think once we get that ender pearl farm going, I don't imagine that we're going to need to set up any kind of automated anything. Unfortunately, when we're checking on this thing has yet to produce a second seed. I don't know how many generations we've gone through. I've maybe pulled a dozen or so pearls out of there, maybe slightly more. So yeah, we're not really, statistically, we'd be way ahead of the curve if we got a seed at this point in the game. So we'll just wait on that, and if it looks like it's not going to happen, then we'll investigate some other way of obtaining ender pearls. But for right now, anyway, we're doing okay. We're keeping up with our demand, and in fact, building these matter transporters and such, it's not technically necessary. I mean, we could get by without doing it this way. But I think it's a pretty good investment. I mean, it's 12 ender pearls. It's a lot, but we can afford it, and have some to spare. Actually, we still got some Einsteinium left if we need to make more, and we still got our farm going, and we still have 3 there in our inventory. So not too bad all around. So that's our matter transmission equipment. If we had Scotty around, we could tell him to beam us up. Let's get our rocket built. Unfortunately, we're not ready for building a rocket because we don't have any blueprints. Okay, so here, the rocket took my math. I believe I itemized a little bit of what it was going to take, and that was half. Everything I said in the previous episode was half, because it takes 2 sets of plates of each kind to make those heavy duty plates. So actually it's like 4 stacks of iron and 2 stacks of copper and 2 stacks of tin. And if you're having a shortage there, I was just looking at that copper chest. You can decompose the copper chests that you get as quest rewards. And you can decompose the food canisters from the food that you get as quest rewards. I think that's 7 tin. Makes 2 of those, so 3.5 tin per food canister, and then those empty canisters are primarily tin as well. So that's going to get you a whole bunch of stuff back there. If you need tin, do that. Also, if you're short on copper, Silly Willy can help you out. I think we're going to take a look at that right now. Yep, 3 aluminum for 3 copper. Straight across trade, no exchange rate. So that's the only place that we've needed Silly Willy up till now. Most of his deals are pretty bad. We're going to use him again just momentarily here. But you can get creative. You can see we're having no shortage of iron at this point. That system is working fantastically. And the world interaction upgrades that we put there in the back, they really did the trick. In fact, I took one of them out to operate that other setup on the other side. I need to make more of those. Now that we have more iron and more lapis, we can make quite a bit more of those and really crank out the resources. I also upped the compression rate on the cobblestone within that system as far as it will go. I believe it was quadruple compressed cobblestone is the highest tier that you can decompress. So I went with that because the system, it was still working, but it was just getting a little bit backed up every once in a while, and that doesn't please my sensibilities. I really don't care for having an excess or I like all of my systems to work smoothly. I don't want to have to come and fix it later. So that's automation should be automatic. That's how I feel about it. So here's Silly Willy again. This is the second time and probably the last time that we're ever going to talk to him to get these schematics. I saw in NEI that there's some kind of astromech mining thing that you can make, and that seems really interesting to me. My second favorite genre of game after Minecraft, which pretty much is its own genre in my world, is like epic level space simulation type thing. So the idea of mining some asteroids and having kind of an interstellar base on multiple worlds / dimensions is really appealing to me. So I'm excited to get out and maybe explore the asteroids and set up kind of an auto mining system. So that got us our launch pad, which is cool. We don't have to build that. Not that it really matters at this point. I mean, we can. The launch pad's just iron, a bunch of iron, and we can afford that. And as a quest reward for that, we got this book of Soulbound, which is why I'm constructing this anvil here. Now, the quest says, here's a book of Soulbound 1 to put on your rocket in case you die, then you don't lose your rocket. I don't think that does you a lot of good because, you're still going to lose your landing pad and your fuel loader. So here we go. Golden bag of holding with Soulbound instead, and then we can just drop everything in the bag, and it protects all of our items at once, rather than just a simple rocket ship, which I don't plan to use a whole lot. So yeah, good strategy. Really appreciate the book. Thank you so much to the mod pack creators for giving it to me, but I have a better idea as to what to put it on. I think you'd be kind of silly to put it on anything else, because everything else is pretty replaceable. Even this pick, this is my third pick that I've used, and they're just not that expensive. 3 diamonds is essentially what you're spending on it, and a little bit of stuff. So no big cost there. I mean, you can pretty much mass produce the refined relocation pick, which so far is the best pick I've been able to build, especially because it's super cheaty and allows you to place torches down on command that actually burn without oxygen. And when we get to Mars, of course, see, I've already recorded this, so I know how truly helpful that is. But when we get to Mars, you'll see. Actually, you won't see, because that part is not on this video. That's actually in between videos. I went back to Mars in between videos and did a bunch of mining and found some caves and mustered up a little bit of dash. I think I'm close to a stack. You'll see when we come back in the next episode. Oh, well, what are we doing here? I'm not even watching this video now. I'm just off in my own little narration land. So here we're just trying to make sure we got enough fuel to get back. We have the the RF tools transmitter and stuff, but I have not tested that. I don't know if it's going to work interdimensionally, which is technically what the planets have to be. I think they're technically different dimensions is the way I'm imagining that works coding wise. So yeah, I don't know. It's all a mystery, and we're going to find out. Well, actually, here's the funny thing is that I do know because this is an old video, but I didn't know going into this whether it was going to work. Spoiler alert, it does work. We can teleport back and forth. It's not a problem. But I wanted to be careful. And so while we're waiting for that, we're just taking a little tour. What I want to do is build these 4 little towers around the corner and see how the side is open. I was looking at it, and I missed my own cue there. But I want to build a big agricultural structure up here. I've got, based on the idea that I had down below with recessing the tree farm, I've got some really, really interesting ideas on how to make a super efficient farming area up on top of the base there. I was originally going to do it out to one side of the base, but I think the top of the base is really going to be a lot easier. So something that I like, this is an old machine from Factorization that has been brought back. The Factorization mod, I guess, has kind of been allowed to pass on. But they brought back the router because it's a super useful tool. What it does is it interacts with an entire array of inventories. So you could connect one router to 100 vanilla furnaces, for example, and without any wiring or cabling or any other connection, you can feed something into all those furnaces, which I think I'm actually going to do, rather than try to create some kind of super efficient nuclear furnace. I want to stick with the idea of unpowered, not resource-intensive builds. And I mean, building 100 furnaces is a little bit resource-intensive because it's all, it's 100 furnaces, but it's all cobblestone, and who really cares? So I think what I actually want to do is build an array of 64 furnaces and a router to feed them. It'd probably take 3 routers, actually, one to feed fuel, one to feed whatever is being smelted, and one to extract the finished product. So with 3 routers and 64 furnaces, I should be able to smelt a stack of items at a time pretty effectively with no power, except for whatever power it costs us to get the fuel for the furnaces. So, like if we're going to use hydrogen, it's whatever power the chemical decomposer that is breaking down the water gets. So you can see this router here is receiving cobblestone from the generator, and we're going to put it to the top so it will feed into the top of the crucibles. And the unfortunate thing here is that all of these inventories are connected. So you got the crucibles, and you got the stone barrels, and you got the Java barrels up there, and you've got the chest over there, and you've got these transfer nodes, which I think count as inventories. So that router is going to try to put cobblestone into all of those things, as opposed to just the crucible. So probably we're going to have to re-engineer that whole setup to make sure that, like, the chest is not adjacent to a crucible or something, just to avoid any weird crossovers. Now you can put a machine upgrade in the router that causes it to interact only with a specific type of machine. So you can specify furnaces or barrels or chests or whatever, any inventory, and it finds all of the adjacent inventories and it lists them for you, so you don't have to know anything special. You just have to select from a list. You need some nether quartz to make this magnet. I made this magnet in the episode with the idea of going in there and knocking out all of those pipes and not wanting to break the whole build to try to retrieve them. As it turns out, you'll see after we make the magnet, I didn't even need it. But we've been wanting this magnet for many, many episodes, and definitely when we go to Mars, I'm going to want it because I'm going to set that pickaxe on a 5x5 mode and just mine the crap out of the surface of Mars. I don't really plan on digging down deep initially because you just get cobblestone from that, and then you got to smelt it before you can sift it, and if you just grab up the stuff on the surface, you can take it directly home and smelt it and have your desh that much faster. And then there are some pretty elaborate cave systems on Mars that I intend to explore. I doubt I will do that on camera because truly it's not that interesting. It's just caving, basically. And there are lots of videos of that if you want to see it. As much as I don't want to say, hey, go watch somebody else's video, there are a lot of good videos out there, and if you're just going to watch mine, you're not going to get the whole experience because I'm only going to touch on, my build, and I've seen videos of quite a few things. Generic B, one of my favorite YouTubers. Hey, Generic B, if you're out there, props to you. He set up a whole system with the item cannons of shooting his inventories and his items from platform to platform using the cannons, and I thought that was brilliant and super cool, a lot of fun, and I don't plan on doing that. So, that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about, is you're going to get ideas from different videos. Because everybody has their own style. I'm going to do it my way, and Generic B's got his style. And some of the other videos, for example, I've only seen one other person grab these little RF transmitters. Everybody else is flying back and forth to Mars in a rocket ship, which doesn't make any sense to me. It's kind of a waste of time. It's fun. It was fun once, as you'll see. Fortunately, I was talking in the video about because in my previous playthrough of this, I got to the point where I built the rocket, and I was about to blast off for Mars, and I thought, nope, I want to film this, and I want to get the excitement of it on film, and I don't want to try to like reenact it for you guys, because that's lame. Which is exactly what would happen in this case, because now I'm dubbing over my original footage, and I'm going to be like, yay, and it's going to sound really lame. But fortunately, literally like the only 3 minutes of audio that worked was taking off to Mars, so I don't have to fake that for you. Super cool. And you'll get some of the static. Unfortunately, I'm going to leave the original audio intact where it exists, even though it's poor quality. I guess transmission quality on Mars is just not very good. There's just a lot of static and interference, so we'll live with that, and we'll get back on track next episode with some... I went out and I spent a few days. This is why it's been so long between episodes. Spent a few days tracking down a pretty decent recording mic. It's not super high-end, but it is like a $90 microphone that I managed to find for $30, so good deal. I couldn't even tell you what it's called off the top of my head. I would have to go and look that up again. I did a Google search for it and got all the information, but maybe if I remember, I'll try to put that information in the description. I know a lot of YouTubers get asked questions about what kind of equipment they use and what kind of recording software they use, and I'm not probably famous enough for anyone to care at this point with my 8 subscribers, but yeah, you know, whatever. I'll put it in there anyway, maybe, if I remember. It's all about memory. My memory's not what it used to be. I was not the most responsible teenager and early adult, so a lot of paint fumes and some drugs and some misadventures and probably a couple of head injuries later. The memory is not so great. It's like sometimes I forget to talk when I'm recording video. And sometimes I forget to turn stuff on, like my microphone, and but all in all, I'm really happy with the way this series is going. So the end stone, when you break it down, gets you a few radioactive elements that you need to take special precaution with. You get plutonium, which is great. That gets you nether rods, blaze rods, and blaze powder, either or, depending on how you craft that in the synthesizer. And then it also gets you what we're getting right now, which is gallium and arsenic, which makes you gallium arsenide, which is what we're using. If you're paying attention to my voice rather than what's going on in the video, that's what we're using to get nether quartz for the time being. Until we can get the other system that I described in place and have a steady supply of nether quartz. And then we can really start working on the base and shining it up, because we'll have the laboratory blocks that I want. And other things also that take nether quartz. Sorry, I just had a weird notification pop on my desktop. That was kind of a distracting little bit of... anyway. Oh, what are we doing now? I lost track of the video. Oh yes, our magnet, finally. The magnet is super cool. So glad to get that done. Like I said before, I wanted to make that off camera like half a dozen times, and it wouldn't have mattered because until we got this end stone production, we wouldn't have been able to do it regardless. So there's that, and we'll see momentarily that this is failing miserably because the configuration is just not right. There's too many incidental inventories connected to the array. So definitely between episodes I'll be remodeling this. Actually, I already did. It's weird being like basically broadcasting from the future. I know everything that's going to happen after this episode. Very strange, and trying to make that make sense to you guys. I hope I'm not missing anything critical that I mentioned in the original narration, because it's been several days. Like I said, it took me a couple of days, 2-3 days, to track down this microphone and get everything working. I run a Linux machine, which is great for certain things, but it invariably takes a little longer to get things working because this is my first Linux box, and it's not particularly difficult, but it's also not what you would expect it to be, based on like experience, even with a Mac or a PC machine. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, it took a little while to get things working and to sort out my various USB ports, because I do have a lot of peripherals that I use. I had to kind of figure out how to get everything plugged in and functional and actually recording. It's actually really nice though now, because I don't have to wear headphones to record, which means I can kind of hear what's going on around me and not be quite so oblivious. What are we doing? I think we're just about through with the first clip, and the second clip actually has audio for part of it. And then the third clip, I can't remember. No, the third clip is... Well, anyway, we'll see. I'll just dub as necessary. Hopefully it'll turn out to be something that you want to watch. My general feeling is that I want to post this episode just to have the continuity, but my advice would be just kind of not to worry We'll just come back in episode 9 and try to pick up. I'm happy if people are watching this episode. That's great. I'm super stoked on that, because this is like easily the worst episode I've ever filmed of anything. And hey, marble, sweet. I was wondering when we were going to get marble, because it says it's a plain reward, but I think it's actually a pretty good reward. Anyway, so yeah, I hope you guys aren't too disappointed. I'm horribly disappointed. This episode it's horrible, and it's extra frustrating because it just seems like every episode or every other episode I have some kind of technical difficulty. So hopefully we can all just be patient, myself included, while we work through these issues and get everything on some semblance of a normal track. Maybe. Anyway, looks like we're winding down, and I will see you all in the next segment, and hopefully the audio is acceptable. We'll see. I'm just trying to get something resembling a cohesive episode put together here, but I don't really think that we've succeeded on that count. I'll see you all in a moment. Okay, I think we got everything we need. Oh my God, it is causing that. So we got our transmitter and receiver, our dialing device. We got some backup energy that we can just throw anything into that'll work for us. We got fuel for the rocket, and just in case, this is this is plan B in case this doesn't work. We got fuel for the rocket, the fuel loader, some power for the fuel loader, and a barrel full of hydrogen to power everything. So we're covered 2 ways. Let's get in a rocket ship. Oops. How do we launch? Space. I've never done this before. Look at that. I love it. Houston. We have ignition. All system go. The board is green. Lift off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We have liftoff. Oh, that is epic. On video. I wanted to capture the thrill instead of reenacting it for you. Alright, space. Oh my goodness, that is... Yeah, and that's where the the audio rather, cut out again, so we literally captured the one moment that I wanted to capture. So the audio gods must be smiling on me because, yeah, the microphone just stopped. I think, yeah, a little in and out. So many mobs here, I can't believe. Fortunately, the titanium armor. If you watch, these zombies are going to run up and start beating on us a little bit. And titanium armor is like, what? I don't even feel you. Look at that. No damage. No damage. They hit us maybe half a dozen times and we didn't get damaged. My concern here is that I don't want to run too far away from the landing capsule because I won't be able to find my way back to it. These mobs have got me a little sketched out. I think we'll just head over to this hill and try to get away from them a little bit. That gives us a landmark to focus on. I love this pick because it makes us run so fast. So yeah, the plan is just to dig in a little bit, get safe, gather up some resources and such. And this is just a quick scouting mission, I guess you could say, or a preliminary. We'll come back with some heavy equipment. At some point, relatively soon, I suppose we should make an ender quarry. Now it's a lot of ender pearls, and we also need the quartz for that, the nether quartz, so that's another reason to start gathering that resource. The next episode is going to be Ender IO and establishing some of the base resources that come along with that, such as conduits. They're not really a resource, but the quartz, the soul sand really is what we're looking at. We need to get ourselves a supply of that, because I don't know how useful gas tiers are in this pack, but generally in modded Minecraft, some of the cooler things require gas tiers. Definitely the quartz is going to be required for sure. There's no getting around that. There's just a lot of things that require quartz as crafting components, and I want to make extensive use of it in the aesthetic look of the base as well. Either blocks of quartz or blocks that incorporate quartz in the crafting recipe. So you can see there that barrel also has, oh no, it does not have yet upon it this hopper upgrade, but we are putting it there. A little structural upgrade and a hopper upgrade, and then you've got to put a facade on it. If you don't know how to use these, you just put the facade, shift right click the facade on the side of the barrel, so you can have them hopper out the top, bottom, sides, whatever. Really, really useful upgrade. Especially in this mod pack, I've noticed that you cannot use transfer nodes or the relocators. Haven't tested it with conduits yet, but the transfer nodes and the relocators will not put items into the fuel slot of a furnace. And the relocators, I couldn't really get them to feed into the top of the furnace either, the items that needed to be smelted. So the hopper barrel will work. And that's what I was talking about before, having to use barrels and stuff as buffers to get the furnaces working, and was why I abandoned that whole concept. And so along that line, I found out that the progressive automation machines will run on potatoes as an alternate fuel source. So I think what I want to do is set up a potato farm and feed all of the progressive automation machines from the potato farm. And I've got some ideas on how we're going to lay this out and make everything work so that we can feed all of our various farms from one potato farm. I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking dimensional chests or maybe a bee space barrel, but you're way off. It's way simpler than that. I'm not going to spoil it because I think it's a good idea, but we'll get to it. And I just talked over the end of the clip, so yeah. I'll see you later. Okay, we're just waiting for things to finish charging here. We're almost there. I don't want to risk being a couple of RF short of full transmission. Alright, let's see if it works. Start teleportation. Yeah. Woot! So now if we select this dial, that guy's locked into Mars, and yeah, we can go back and forth at will. Super cool. We got one last thing, actually two last things, because I think we got a quest or two, maybe, to claim prizes from. Yeah, 4 of them. Well, 2 of them. One here for the router. It's going to give us a bandwidth upgrade, so that'll allow it to pass stacks of items. A speed upgrade or a reward bag. I'll take the speed upgrade. It requires dash and some various Ender IO components. The Ender chest, huh? Oh, dimensional chest. Boo. Those take mass amounts of Ender pearls, and I don't really think we need them. A sorting iron chest, that's meh. I actually had to come back because I forgot to grab oxygen. I was running out of air. But I did grab... Oh, I didn't grab it. Dang it. I had 20 stacks of Mars soil to sift. It's only 1% chance to get dash out of it, but that's a pretty good start. I'll go back and set up some kind of formal mining. In fact, there's this thing. No. Miner. Oh, did they not put it in? I thought maybe I got the name wrong. Yeah, they must have taken it out. Or maybe it's a different version. I don't know. There's a miner. In any case, Progressive Automation has a miner, but it must not be in this pack. The last thing I want to do is work on some awesomite. Because remember I said... how do you spell that? Oh, he left the E in it. Interesting. So I think... Pure awesomite nugget. Yeah, we need awesomite dust. So that gets us 2. So I think we need 12. I don't know. Let's just make a... Let's just do a stack of redstone, because we're going to need a bunch of this stuff. So let's see what a stack of redstone gets us. And then if we need to make more, we can. We're not hurting for redstone anymore. Look at that. Woohoo! Gotta love it. And some iron and some gold. And that'll get us 16 crafts of this. That's pretty good. And then so 3, and a diamond and a flint. So that gets us 10. So we need 10 diamonds and 10 flint. Just grab it all. It's easier that way. Then you end up with a really cluttered inventory. 60. Cool beans. Let's use this one. And... oh wait, let's... Hey, and that's interesting because... that was 80, 60... oh, I don't know. Maybe my math's all off. Get a reward bag. I think my math is off, dang it. Woot. So that's it, pretty simple process. That's Mars and back, not too bad. Once you get some basic resource production in place, everything gets a lot easier. So from here on out we have dash. When I come back, I will have dash. I'm going to go back to Mars as soon as everything gets charged back up. I'll head back to Mars, get some dash, get it sifting, and make some preparations to begin the next phase of the operation, which is integrating Ender IO conduits into the build. So until next time, thank you so much for joining me, and I really hope you're enjoying the series so far. I'm having a blast. Make sure you click down there and leave me a like, maybe subscribe if you're liking the series so that you know when the next one comes out or when I might produce a new series. Take care, everybody.